everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting today on part two. I know, again, my videos got a little confusing because I called part one the intro, so this video is called part three, even though it's part two. Next time I'll make sure that that I don't name the intro part one, because that's been really confusing to try to explain in emails and updates. But if you are just joining us for the first time, my name is Evelyn of Pink Sheep Design, and this is my Tonks hoodie crochet-along. You can see I've got one back here. But I wanted to update you guys because last week, we started on the back panel. I did not finish my back panel last week, and I actually ended up having to frog it because the hook that I chose to use, it was a little bit closer to gauge, but I didn't really think about the weight of the yarn when I was using this one, and that blanket yarn can get heavy. It's going to stretch out. Most of these hoodies are going to stretch out because they're longer. So I redid it using a 16 millimeter hook. So I was using a 17 for the first one. This is my completed back panel. I was a little concerned because it felt a little narrow, but I'm making the smallest size, and I realized I'm not going to try to layer this over anything else. I kind of want it to be a little bit smaller. So like if I wrap this, even just take the edges and wrap it around, it definitely reaches halfway. And I know that this kind of, when you're working across, you have more stretch this way. So I think it's going to stretch really nicely. And I made it shorter. So for me, let's see, instead of chaining 34 at the very beginning, I chained 32. So my panel is only 31 stitches long. And if we measure it, let's see if I can show you guys. So if I pull it up over my shoulder, so that's going to be the seam right about at my shoulder. This is going to be the back panel. So it should come like right to the bottom of my butt, which is the goal because the last one was super long. This one comes all the way over my butt. And I wanted this one to be a little bit shorter. And I have also decided, I thought about not doing a high-low. So if you guys are following the pattern, you'll see that the back of the jacket is lower than the front of the jacket. The front panels are shorter. I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to make them as short because I shortened the back of this. I don't want the front to look cropped. So I'm only going to chain 30. I'm actually going to chain 30 instead of 31 for my front panels because I chained 32 for this one. So I'm going to chain 30 for my front panel. So I'll have a 2-stitch difference in the high-low front and back. So like I said, this pattern's super easy to customize once you really start thinking about it. It's all basic shapes. You know, you're just making rectangles for the panels. So yes, you can kind of look at it as you go along and figure out what you want to do. Well, let's see. Winter is here. Hello. Lexi says hello, everyone. Hello. Ellen is here. Hooked on the Sea. Hello. Mary Ann is here, just listening in today. Sindra is working and lurking. Winter says today is Halloween, at least yarn-wise. I decided a cake needed to be used today. Gotcha. Michelle says hello. Anxious Pajama Days. Emma. Thanks. Yeah, I actually almost had to finish these on the live because I didn't know if I was going to get it done before the live was posted, but it worked out pretty well. I didn't use a mirror. So, you know, and I didn't use my little, I should use my little clear bands because I feel like these stick out like a sore thumb. But I didn't have time. This is what was on my wrist. So that's what I used. I didn't even change out of my leggings today. I had, I walked this morning. I got a treadmill for Christmas. So that's in the basement. And I love getting to walk in the morning. So I'll just get my coffee, take a little walk. And usually I change, and I forgot to today, just I've been working since I got done walking. So, let's see. Thanks, Ellen. Ellen says that looks great. Kim says, hello, I have my back panel and the front panels created up. So Kim jumped ahead. That's okay though. I should be able to finish one front panel, hopefully, today, since they're smaller. And Lexi, oh, my computer decided to try to sleep. Let's see. Lexi says, I procrastinated horribly and just finished the back panel at 10 a.m. today. That's okay, Lexi. I finished mine last night. So, you know, had all week and waited until last night to finish about half, the last half of the back panel. So, but I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out. Ellen says, when do you walk? Do you watch TV or listen to music? It depends on the day. I don't listen to music ever. It's going to be watching something. I feel like if I'm just listening to music, I'll get bored since I'm walking on a treadmill that's like facing the wall. I'm kind of next to a window, so I can kind of see out the window, but like nothing's going on. You know, I might see a couple cars pass by in the 45 minutes that I walk. But usually I'll be on YouTube. I might be catching up on Instagram comments. I might be editing videos for Reels. I might watch House. That was for a little while there. That's what I was doing. I would watch an episode of House while I was walking. But it's got to be something that me and Matt don't watch together. So, and that's like next to nothing. Most of the stuff that we watch together. So, yeah, so that's kind of tricky. Okay, so if you have your pattern, you're following along. If you don't have the pattern, the blog post has been updated. So if you go to the blog post, that's link in the description. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, it has all the instructions for the front panels. So if you did not buy the pattern and you're just following along, the instructions are now up on the website. So you can print those off. You can just copy and paste them into a document, print them off so you have them ready to go. I am going to get started. I am not breaking into my other yarn yet. I think that the front panels, I'm going to use the same yarn, this Cover Story yarn by Lion Brand. And then once we do the hood and the front section, so there's like a front section that goes around like a front border, I think that is going to be in yellow. But for now, I am sticking with Cover Story, and I am going to chain 30. And again, I'm the type of person, I like to print my stuff out because you can see where I've been taking notes and writing down what I'm doing so I remember what I did. So I'm a pretty big fan of that. I am going to upload. I created a print-friendly version of this pattern. This was not available when I released this pattern. So if you purchased this on Etsy, if you purchased the Tonks hoodie on Etsy and you would like the print-friendly version, please message me on Etsy. So that way I can see your purchase and then I can send you the PDF that's the print-friendly document. And I'm pretty sure I can send them on Etsy now. I think I can send them through the Etsy chat. So that would be helpful. Kim says that she likes to print them as well. Hello, Tracy. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Before we get started, I did want to mention, before I get started, you may already be crocheting. I wanted to mention that one of my favorite summer yarns is on clearance right now. This is Premier Home Cotton XL, and it's one of my favorite summer yarns. It is a super bulky cotton, and I'm working on a little shirt vest thing, so it's going to flip like this. I'm really excited about this, you guys. And it's going to come up like this, and it's going to have the little strings, you know, that come off of these little edges. And obviously I worked bottom up, so I've got the ribbing down here, and like just a little cap sleeve, just like a little bitty sleeve off of this. So really excited. If you're interested in testing this yarn is on clearance. I don't know if they're going to keep it around or not, but it's Premier brand, and on their website it's like $3.99 a skein, and it's 50% off of the original price. You can message me if you want yardage details. I can try to give you like a rough estimate of what you'd need, but super excited about this one for the summer, for the spring. And then ribbon yarn, Hobie's ribbon yarn is on sale 50% off right now as well. And that's, I use that a lot. I have tons of patterns for ribbon yarn. They have all the colors right now in stock, so you can get those. I don't have anything coming up with ribbon yarn specifically, but I'm sure I'll use it this summer because that's really a go-to for me. But I wanted to let y'all know, yarn deals are here. Okay, time for me to get started. I need to chain 30 and then I can kind of go on autopilot and chat with you guys because I would love to know what you guys are working on if it's not a hoodie, and if you have other projects that you're working on. Okay, so let me chain 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 23, 29, and 30. Okay. So now I am working back across my chain in half double crochet, and I am going to work into the back bumps of my chain. And I showed this in the last video. So if you guys did not watch the last video, you can if you want to see the difference. There's really two options when you're working a regular chain, not a foundation chain, it's a regular chain. You can work into the top of the V that you created with the chain, or you can flip the chain over and work into the back bump, which is like a little kind of middle piece that comes up between the V. And I tend to do that. To me, it creates a cleaner chain. I don't know if it works for everything, but I use it for pretty much everything. So, okay. So, and we've got this nice big ball of yarn that I can pull from. Okay, so let's see. Emma says, I've been knitting a lot lately, finally knitting socks. It's only taken me 17 years to learn. Well, it's never too late, that's for sure. I think that I learned knitting before I learned to crochet. I'm not 100% sure. I learned in high school art class, learned both, and put it down for a really long time. Like by the time that I really picked it back up, I had to watch YouTube for a lot. Like I remember picking up knitting needles and just for the life of me could not remember how to cast on. Like it just wasn't going to happen. I played around with it like this should be like riding a bike. I should remember how to do this. And I didn't remember at all. So I had to watch YouTube videos to relearn. But was introduced to crochet and knitting in art class in high school. And I don't know if I'll really knit again. I feel like I never felt like I could design knitwear. I didn't feel like I was able to manipulate knitting the way that I can crochet. And since that's my focus now is designing, I don't know if I'll go back to it. I feel like if I were going to knit something, it would be for a gift or something like a personal project, because I'm obviously not going to design it. Like I'm not going to write the pattern up if I'm making something. And I don't know if I've really ever freehanded anything in knitting except for like a scarf. Like I haven't freehanded any kind of garment with knitting. But I never say never, you know. I might decide I want to knit a cardigan just for funsies, you know, maybe one day. But what are you, so you're knitting socks right now, Emma? Are you knitting anything else, or was that the goal? Like, I'm going to learn to knit so that I can knit socks. Tracy said, I would love to test the spring make. yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really fun one. I've had the idea in my head since last year, but kind of ran out of time, which is what happened this year. I have two garments, the Power Puff bomber jacket, which is done. It just needs to be tested. So I have finished the item. I've taken pictures of it. I've written the pattern up, but it needs to be tested. And then the mini puff bomber jacket. So it's part of my Power Puff and Mini Puff collection, but it's like a bomber style jacket. And I ran out of time. Like there's no reason for me to try and get those tested now because I really can't release them until next fall because it's moving into the warmer weather. So I think that yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I'm gonna have to put them on the back burner and get them tested towards the end of summer next year so that I can release them in the fall. That's my goal. Um, but they're gonna be really fun. I'm really really excited about them. But I have to put them off, and I really have to start getting my crap together for spring and summer. And patterns because right now I don't have any spring and summer patterns that are ready for testing yet. And, that's at least a month and a half for testing. So, just having fun. Let's see. Lucille here says, I have such a hard time working in the back bumps in the burnout blanket, so I did foundation HDC. Yeah, and that's a good option. If you know how to do the foundation HDC, I don't think I ever taught myself that, but it works for this pattern. That something like that would work for this pattern. Some patterns, it's, it may not work to do a foundation chain, but for the most of my patterns, it does. There's no reason not to do some kind of foundation chain. But yeah, I totally understand. I agree. Working in the back bumps with blanket yarn. I don't think blanket yarn, again, I said this in my first video, but blanket yarn, I don't recommend for beginners. There's just something about the tension. It's hard for me to keep consistent tension. And for me, tension usually comes natural. I don't have to work very hard to have even stitches, but I do feel like I have to try a lot harder to focus on maintaining consistent tension when I'm using blanket yarn. It also can be a little wormy, I mean, if it catches on something or pulls, it can not be the most pleasant experience to deal with. But like I said, they just look too cozy. It just looks, these hoodies and blanket yarn look too cozy for me to not at least try one so that I can have one. So that was why I was like, I'll bite the bullet and try it. And I do enjoy, again, for me, any yarn that is problematic. So if there's yarn that you struggle with, maybe it's just a frustrating yarn to work with, try doubling it up. So for me, I don't really like using homespun, and a lot of people don't like homespun. It's like a love-hate relationship. Either you really really like it or you hate it. I have never been a huge fan, but it does make really soft garments, and I've realized that if you double it up, because homespun is a 5 weight, and so if you double it up and you make one of my patterns that calls for a 6 weight, so like the Luna cardigan or the Tonks hoodie, any of those would work. It makes it a million times easier to work with. And I noticed the same thing with blanket yarn. So if you guys haven't seen my Winky jacket, so the Winky jacket is, it calls for either a large 6 weight yarn. So a 6 weight yarn that calls for like a 15 to 19 millimeter hook. Or you can double up like a regular 6 weight. So a 6 weight yarn that calls for like an 8 to 9 millimeter hook, which would be blanket yarn. You can double it up. But you use a 19 or 20 millimeter hook, whichever you have. And it made the blanket yarn so much easier to work with, holding it doubled like that for me. So I feel like that's, you know, if you've got some yarn that you're struggling with, try doubling it up and using a larger hook size and using a pattern that calls for a yarn weight that's one step higher than what you have. So if you have a troublesome 4-weight, try to find a pattern that calls for a 5-weight yarn, double the 4-weight yarn up, and see if it makes it easier for you. Because so far I found that it's very helpful to double yarn up. Winter says, I can't wait to reach testing phase for my concert outfit. And I didn't realize, so you're making the outfit for a concert, but you're also writing the pattern up. Is that correct? Because that's going to be really exciting. And when is the concert? Are you going to be able to finish the design before the concert? Or are you going to just wear it to the concert and then like the testing phase will happen and then you'll be able to release it? Kim says, I'm also working on a crochet ragdoll pattern. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. And Winter says, still don't know what I want to call it. Emma says, I threw myself in the deep end and went with a lacy shawl that is very involved. It's going well, but my brain keeps having a freak out. Like, how the heck did I do that? Wow, that's exciting. And I'm guessing you mean that in a good way, because it's coming along good. I never knit. I tried knitting something one time that was intricate. So I chose something with a beautiful pattern where you had to do all of these different things to try and, you know, to actually create the texture to the scarf. And I probably got about a half a foot into the scarf and it was looking amazing. I mean, it really was, you know, going really well. It was really beautiful. And then I kept going and I don't know what happened. I zoned out or something. And I realized that I had completely flipped the pattern. So like the first half foot of scarf had the textured pattern on one side, and then the next half foot of the scarf had it on the other side. And as you guys know, with knitting, it's so much harder to just frog it back to the right spot because you have to be really careful so that you don't lose where to insert your needles back into the holes. And I gave up. Like, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't enjoy this. It didn't feel stress relieving for me, which was why I crochet. And I was, you know, I'd have to really focus. It almost felt like I needed to take Adderall to do that scarf. It's like back in college having to study and I can't stay focused like that. So yeah, haven't tried that again, and that's okay. You know, we all have things that we enjoy. Most of us enjoy different things, which is why, you know, I think it comes back to that idea of not comparing yourself to other people, because there are times when I'll be scrolling social media and I'll see these beautiful, lightweight, flowy, intricate, just gorgeous designs, you know, things that people have made that have so much texture and, you know, use those specialty stitches. And, you know, it's very different from what I make. And there are times where I'm like, man, you know, are people going to get bored with my designs because they're so basic? But then I remember that's what I like to do. So, you know, I don't want to just make things that I think other people are going to want. I want to make things that I enjoy, and then other people, if they enjoy them, great. If they don't, there are a million other people that they can go to for those crazy, intricate, textured designs. And I feel like luckily I've found people who tend to like both, and it's just different times of their life. You know, maybe you finish something that is ridiculously intricate and beautiful and, you know, it was time consuming. And then you think, I just need a break. I want something that works up fast. And they know they can come to me for a really quick pattern. So I think, you know, and not judging yourself too much. You know, I think we talked about it on the last video about the hexagon cardigans, how, you know, everybody's making them right now. And I really wanted to find my place in that and try to make like a chunky hexagon cardigan. And I was not enjoying it. So I looked up some different hexagon granny squares to try to figure out how I could do something different with chunky yarn, because I really didn't want to follow a pattern for a worsted weight. And there's, I think, one pattern out there right now for a chunky hexagon pattern, but I didn't want to follow or copy their pattern. So I was trying to find just a simple hexagon granny square that I could then turn into my own pattern for a chunky hexagon cardigan. And I wasn't enjoying it at all. Like, I think I got halfway through one of the hexagons and it didn't feel like it was turning out the way it should have. And, you know, you just can't be hard on yourself. You're not going to like everything that everyone else likes. So just because it's on trend or in fashion right now doesn't mean that you are going to like it. Not everybody's going to like that. Not everybody wore low-rise jeans. Not everybody wears high-rise jeans. Like, if you think about it like fashion trends, because that's, you know, there are trends in crochet. And, you know, I know like the Lost Souls shawl was a big one with COVID, and I would not have wanted to do something that intricate, but there are a lot of people who jumped on board and really enjoyed it. And I don't want to say people were like jumping on the bandwagon, because it's cool if you do. Like, I think, you know, all of us look for inspiration. If something's on trend, you may think, wow, I really like that. And you may really, really enjoy it. And that's not a bad thing, but it's also not a bad thing if you don't, you know. Oh, I'm gonna pop my neck. I go to the chiropractor Wednesday, so that'll be really nice. Okay, let's see. And I think I need to get my mouse over here so I can scroll back through. I had to scroll back up. You guys are chatting. Woohoo. So Emma's working on the Rumpelstiltskin shawl, and I haven't seen that one, so I'll have to look. Mary Ann says, agreed about blanket yarn not being for beginners. Tried it last time and wasn't ready for the stretch. This time I'm using Woolly's Thick and Quick and love it. Woolly's Thick and Quick has always been my go-to recommendation for beginners. It's easy to maintain tension. It holds up really well to aging. So I have quite a few scarves that I've made myself, like the cowl neck scarves with Woolly's Thick and Quick. I pretty much only used Woolly's Thick and Quick when I was doing shows. So like if I was doing craft shows, that's what I made everything out of. My first couple of garment designs used Woolly's Thick and Quick. So like my Luna cardigan and my Weasley shawl both used Thick and Quick. And then if people can't use wool, so if they can't or don't want to use wool yarn, and I'm not 100% sure if they still make it or not. I think they do, but the Lion brand Mandala Thick and Quick. So that's what I used for this Tonks that's on my chair. That one is a fantastic option that's 100% acrylic, and it works up very similar to Woolly's Thick and Quick. It doesn't have as much of a stretch to it as Hometown USA, which stretches out really quickly, and it can kind of look, it will look older faster. So it ages quickly. But that, you know, I used that too. I used Hometown USA for my cat ear hats that I made. But like, for instance, when I took cat ear hats to shows, I had to package them in cello bags, because if too many people were touching them and trying them on, then they would start to age. Like just in a couple of shows, they would look like they'd been worn, which is not, you know, you don't get that effect with the Woolly's Thick and Quick. So that's really nice. Winter said that's a really pretty pattern. I'll have to look that one up. Emma says it is a really pretty pattern, but it's the first I've ever tried, and I'm in awe of the fact that I can do it. Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a good feeling. You know, when you set out to try something and it really is coming together like you thought it would, even if you were worried you couldn't. It's such a confidence booster. And I mean, I think that's one of the big pros of fiber arts, crocheting, knitting, any of it. It can be such a confidence boost because there's so many things, there's so many resources out there to help get you through things, even if you hit a snag, that it can really be a very quick way, honestly, to build your confidence. If you know, if you're really determined to learn something, there's so many resources out there, whether you're a visual learner or if you want pictures or videos or written or charts. There's just so many resources out there now to help with that. Let's see. Yes, it is correct. I'm writing the pattern and it's 2 months, so I have enough time to finish designing and writing it. That's awesome. Testing phase is probably going to be around the end of April though. Okay, that's cool though. And you said concert outfit. Is it a two-piece outfit? Is it like a top and pants? Is it like a dress kind of piece? What is the outfit? I think you had mentioned it before that it was like a two-piece outfit. Because I thought I remembered you saying something about pants. I could be wrong. Um, Tracy says to me, your patterns are very stress relieving and I appreciate it. That's definitely my goal. I like ones where obviously I've been talking to you guys the whole time. I'm not having to count. You know, now if I was a beginner, I would have to be careful not to like miss any stitches on the side. So, you know, I wouldn't want to accidentally increase or decrease. But, you know, I've been doing the basic stitches for long enough that I don't have to count if I'm just going back and forth making the same number of stitches. I have a lot more freedom to focus on other things and just keep my hands busy, which is really nice. You know, I do a lot of crocheting and even my designing. Like I do a lot of my designing at night. After we've had dinner, we sit down, we'll put on a show. And that reminds me, I would love to know, what are you guys watching right now? So do you have Netflix? Do you have Amazon? Do you have favorite TV shows that you're watching right now? Do you have, if you're not watching anything new, do you have things that you fall back on? So like if you're working on a crochet project, you know, a lot of people have a go-to show that they'll play while they are crocheting because, you know, maybe they've already seen it a million times, but it's still entertaining. So you'll watch it. I know when the Netflix still had The Office on Netflix, I would watch it all the time. Like that was my go-to. If I was doing anything, I would turn on The Office. It got me through my hysterectomy recovery. That and Harry Potter. So all the Harry Potter movies and The Office got me through that recovery and making a pom-pom garland. So that was my recovery time, was a huge pom-pom garland, Harry Potter, and The Office. But lately we've been back on Walking Dead. So we've been watching The Walking Dead again, and I don't know what season we're on, but they're fighting the saviors. So if you guys watch Walking Dead at all, that's where we are. And let's see. Emma says, we come to you for warmth, Evelyn. That's what it is. Warm patterns, warm yarn, warm smile. That's really sweet. Thanks. Let's see. Kim says, I like your patterns, Evelyn, because you can complete something awesome in a reasonable time frame. Yeah, that's definitely one of my goals for sure. And I want them to still be functional. You know what I mean? Because there's definitely patterns out there where like you can finish it really quickly, but you know, either it's a garment that maybe doesn't fit like you thought it would. Like I remember my first experiences with garment making were just awful. Like nothing fit like it was supposed to. You know, some of it may have been gauge related because I didn't do gauges until I started designing. So that could have been a part of it. It could all have been on me. but I didn't have the greatest experience with trying to make garments and things. And I wanted things to look nice. Like, not only did I want them to work up quickly, but I want them to be functional. I want them to look nice. I want them to fit well. You know, so the bar is a little bit higher. But I feel like it's gotten easier and easier. You know, I see what people have enjoyed. You know, I know what I want to stick to. I want to stick to the basics, but keeping all of those things in mind. And I do feel like I've added elements to my patterns along the way that have been, you know, like I love adding the ribbing now, like the add-on when you chain and you connect as you go. I love doing that, but now I have videos to help because I know that that's not the most beginner friendly technique if you're just starting out. But you know, if I can have a video of it, then you know, it makes me feel like people will have a little bit more confidence that they can achieve it even if they're just starting out, you know, and just learning some of the basics. And I'm in the final stages of 3 amigurumi loveys for an order, and I have to say I love that I can work on your pattern as a respite. Keep doing you. Yes, exactly. My favorite thing was when someone called my patterns palette cleansers. That's my favorite. I need to start using that more and more often. Winter says they still make the Lost Souls shawl very often. It's a big seller. It's probably never going out of trend, to be honest. That's true. I mean, and I just mean when I say trend, I mean seeing it everywhere. Like it may still be trendy, it may still be a big seller, but like for me, the hexagon cardigan is the new Lost Souls shawl because that's what I'm seeing everywhere. So like in all of my groups, that's what people are making right now. It was like when the messy bun beanie, you know, became a thing. Now that one just kind of fell off the face of the earth after it got popular. And I don't think that the Lost Souls shawl will do that. But I feel like, you know, you see these kind of like changing trends throughout Facebook groups and things like that. It's a hooded duster situation. Only one piece though. Gotcha. That's really cool. So like a long piece. You said duster. Is it like almost floor length, like that kind of long with the hood? Is it long sleeve? Yarn Works by Lydia Nannon says hello everyone. Lexi says Netflix New Girl for the 4th time straight through now. Next time watching Schitt's Creek. Yes. So that's how we are with, oh, and I need to count because I only need 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did 7 rows. But that means I'm done. I'm done with my first panel. And remember, these panels are gonna look skinny. Okay, these are gonna look skinny. They are not supposed to come together in the front. You will be making a thick, chunky front border that will be connecting your skinny front panels together in the center. So if you decide to do the front border a different color, it's going to be a stripe right down the center of your hoodie, and then the pocket will go over that. So I may keep the 7 rows because I was a little concerned that the back panel wasn't going to be as wide as I wanted it to be. I do think there's plenty of stretch. I think I'm just overthinking it. But since I did 7 rows, I'll probably just do 7 rows on the other one. So let me just double check. 1, 2, 5, 6. Yeah, so I've got 7. I need my scissors. Go, scissors. I'm going to cut long tails for these because one of the bad things about blanket yarn is it doesn't untwist. So like if you have plied yarn, you can untwist it and tie knots, which is what I love to do. Can't do that with blanket yarn. So I leave really long tails. And then what I can do is, so if I've got 2 long tails, I can weave them in to where they meet and tie a knot. So that's my little secret with weaving in the ends. I'll just weave them to the point where they can meet, and then I'll tie a knot there and kind of tuck that knot in and hide it. This kind of yarn is great for tying knots because it's so variegated in the colors that the knots are more camouflaged. So that's really nice. Okay, so that means that now I need to start another chain. And with my patterns, this is something to keep in mind. I try not to do a whole lot of right side, wrong side kind of thing. So for instance, there were people in my test who wanted to know, so this is my starting chain side, and this is my ending side. So there is a difference in how much stretch you have on one side versus the other. This one is not going to have as much give because that is your starting chain. So now if you do a foundation half double crochet, I believe that gets rid of that. So that's one way to do it. But if, you know, people are just starting out, the easiest way is just to do a regular chain. And people have asked me, well, do I attach the chain side or the non-chain side to the rest of my jacket? And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we're attaching the panels, because that's the next video. So next week we'll meet back up. We're going to sew our panels together so you guys can see how I do that. This pattern is a little easier because you don't have to sew anything. You're actually using crochet, single crochet stitches to seam the edges. I want it to be like super, super simple. Plus the look of it really reminded me of like those Jerga hoodies, which was the point. So I didn't mind seeing the seams. I thought it was kind of cool, a cool element. Now you can mattress stitch them if you want to, but I'll be following the pattern there and I'll show you guys that. But the quick answer is it doesn't matter. It's going to be cool either way. You can try it both ways if you're not sure. I know that it will change up the tension if you have it in the center. If for some reason your starting chain was too tight, then it'll probably cinch a little on this side if that's where you're connecting them on the front panels, or on the sides. It may provide a little more structure if you do the starting chain side here. But you can try it out because either way it's going to be neat and cool and be your really cool hoodie. So, okay, let's see. And yes, so that's how we are with The Walking Dead. Like I said, I think this is probably like, I think for me, it's only the second or third time I've watched it all the way through, but it's probably the fifth or sixth for my husband, because when he first started watching it, I refused to watch it with him because I thought it was gross. I didn't want to see the zombies and people eating each other. I thought that was really awful, but the characters are so good. Like the acting is so good. I really, really enjoy it now. And I just close my eyes if there's zombies eating people, you know. And Lexi, yes, I miss The Office too. We actually purchased The Office after it went off of Netflix. We bought all of the seasons. But I have to say, I see why people buy stuff on the streaming platforms. So like, I see why someone, instead of buying the DVD set, which is what we did, they might buy it on Amazon so that they could stream it, because like changing out the DVD, you know, I mean, like you put it in, you know, you put play all, but like if you interrupt yourself and take the disc out to put something else in, you put it back in, it's not going to start where you left off. You know, you've got to figure that out, and you can't choose to just play the last 3 episodes in a row. You know, so I think, yeah, but here's the thing. This is interesting. The reason that we still buy DVDs, and that's usually what we do. So we'll buy, actually, that's pretty much all we do. We buy DVDs and Blu-rays. We just started really trying to up our collection again so that we have all the shows that we like, all the movies we like. So I use Amazon Prime Music, and I don't know if you guys do or not, but one of the things that I loved about Amazon Prime Music was that you could make playlists and you didn't have to shuffle through stuff you didn't want to listen to. So like once you made your playlist, you could just listen to that playlist. And I'm sure there were ads, maybe there were ads, but that was okay because I was listening to the actual songs that I wanted to listen to. I didn't buy anything, but you didn't have access to all the songs ever. You know, you had kind of a limited amount, but it was more than enough for me to have a bunch of playlists that I really liked. And then Amazon changed it and they acted like this it was this big crazy great thing because they said now, you have access to all of this music for free. Well, now they don't let you just listen to the songs that you picked. So now it shuffles them in with crap songs that you didn't want to listen to, that they say, oh, these are like the ones in your playlist. And you can only skip through so many in an hour. Like they turned it into, I guess, what would be the same as like Spotify or any of those streaming music services. And that was the one thing that made Amazon different. And what was crazy is if you purchased songs for playlists, so if you purchased Amazon Music songs, when they changed this, if you don't choose to pay monthly, you can't just play the songs that you bought anymore. So my biggest concern, and this has been the same with my husband, was if we buy these digital streaming shows, and if Amazon decides they're going to double their monthly rate for people to use Amazon Prime, and you could potentially lose access to what you purchase. Now, it may not happen, but it may. You just never know. So we like to buy the actual physical copies when at all possible. And I just got Parks and Rec for Christmas too, so I'll get to watch that again. Let's see. Yarnworks by Lydia says, I'm working on knitting needles, making a dishcloth. I'm watching Bold and Beautiful, and I haven't heard of that. Is that what is that on? So is that on a streaming service? Is it on TV? Kim says Northern Exposure is a great show to rewatch. And is that the one that is the Bob's Burgers makers? Like, is that the one that's very, very similar? It's got the same like look and feel as Bob's Burgers, but it's like up north. Is that right? Because I think we've watched that on Sundays when it comes on. Ellen's been watching oldies on Tubi, 8 is Enough, and Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And I haven't heard of any of those. Let's see, but I bet my husband has. Matt's big on the older movies. He really likes Westerns, though. That is his big thing. Sindra says, I binge watch NCIS, the older ones, when doing something I need to focus on and have to pay attention to what I'm doing and then have noise in the background. Yes, I have to have noise in the background. And obviously, if I'm on live, I don't. But if I'm doing other things, I like to just have the TV on something. Emma says, at the moment, I'm rewatching Attack on Titan to prepare for new episodes coming soon. I like watching the Marvel movies and series on Disney Plus as background noise. So we have not Disney Plus. We have Netflix and Amazon, and that's it. No cable. We have just local channels. But we have all the Marvel movies. Like, all of them. I'm pretty sure. I think we have every single one. Like, I think some of the older ones that before it was Marvel Studios, we might not have all of them, but most of them. I think we might be missing like 3. So big Marvel fans in this household for sure. And Winter says, yes, long bell sleeves. That's going to be amazing. Please share pictures of that in the Facebook group if you can. I would love to see that. And if you do your tester call, you can test call in the Facebook group if you'd like to. Hooked on the Sea. I love the old NCIS episodes. Can always find it to binge on a few channels. Tracy said, sorry I have to go, but work everybody. Roxanne loves The Walking Dead. And let's see, Emma, I really want to knit a Weasley sweater with my initial in Gryffindor colors because I'm a Gryffindor. Also want to make one in Slytherin colors for my daughter. She's a Slytherin. Yeah, that would be really cool. And Lexi, I forgot about Parks and Rec after Schitt's Creek. I guess Parks and Rec it is. Yeah, so we got Parks and Rec for Christmas, which is really nice. That's exciting. So I've only got 10 minutes left, so I'm probably not going to start on the next panel. I'll finish that before our next episode, so I don't want to feel rushed or anything. But we're getting there. So we've got our back panel done. first front panel is finished. I will finish the second front panel before we come back together on Tuesday next week. I did want to tell you guys, let's see. Oopsies. I will be live Friday. So Friday, I'm going live on Instagram with the Lucky Mermaid. You may have seen her amazing 90s bead lizard crochet pattern. So if you guys haven't seen it, you need to check it out, because if you made the little bead lizards, you know, where you like crisscross the yarn through the beads to make the little lizard that was like a keychain for your backpack. Yeah, she made a crochet pattern for that. So you guys need to check it out. And you can turn it into other bead animals. I saw people that made like little possums and stuff using the same pattern. Super, super cool. That's going to be Friday on my Instagram account if you want to join in. And if you guys are not on Instagram, or if you can't make my live episodes, there is an entire playlist with these, and there's like 44 episodes on the playlist now. So if you just enjoy meeting other makers and getting to know new designers and you know, making other fiber friends, then you can binge watch that. If you need something to binge watch while you crochet, you can listen in. Those are really great. Those are available here on my YouTube channel. I also wanted to let you guys know, let's see, I had a couple of things, I think. Oh, this week only. So if you're watching this live or within the next couple of days, we are doing a special. These are our uncoated blue ombres. You see the fade. We've got the light blue, dark blue, light blue. This is an uncoated hook marked on the bottom. So this is one of our 5mm, but we're doing custom orders for these. We're doing a pre-order. They're $25 a piece. You can choose your hook size. You will probably want to, the best way to do this is to reach out to me on Instagram or comment. If you don't have Instagram, comment on the video, and I'll reach out to you with additional information. But we have almost every size in the tapered style. So this is the tapered style, like a boy style hook. And then we have a limited number of the Susan Bates sizes, I think from like a 3, let's see, I've got them here, a 3.75 to a 6.5, but not every single one in between. But we're doing those. They're going to be printed and shipped this week. We're just doing them for this week, but it's $25. So if you've ever wanted to try one of our hybrid handles, or just try one of our hooks to see if you like the feel of the handle, because it's going to be the same as our 3D printed ones. So we use the same style handle. You guys can check that out. So like I said, it's $25 this week only. Shoot me a message on Instagram if you're interested, or comment below if you don't have Instagram, and I can, I can help you out with that. Okay, and actually I just saw, Lexi says, could you show me how the first front panel should be, as in where on your side it should start and where it should end. For the back panel, I chained for 2x, 3x, but only did 38 rows, which is XL 2x. How the first front panel should be. I mean, this is what it looks like. Are you wanting me to show it to you on the back panel? Is that what you're asking? Do you want to see it like in relation to the back panel? Because I can do that real quick before we go. I have it laid out here. Let's see. And that'll be helpful if anyone's watching the replay as well. What's interesting is now I'm looking at this. It sure looks like, okay, maybe I just pulled it. Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 16, 29. Was that right? Yeah, I should have 29. It almost looked like it was longer. Like how you showed the back panel earlier on your body and where it should sit on your body to determine if it's going to fit the way we want. Yeah, so as long as your back panel is right. If you're wanting to see the fit, let me bring this up a little bit. See if that'll help. Okay. So this one, yeah, it should sit right at the top. So if you have a hoodie, let me get, this one kind of sits back, but it should be right on the top of your shoulder. The seam should be. So if I place that like right in there, then that's where that's going to hit me. So for me, that's good. You know I chained less, so I know that my back panel is going to be longer. There's no good way for me to like hold both of these up. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so you can see this is a little bit longer in the back, a little bit shorter in the front. And this is going to be, so like I said, it's going to sit a little bit further out. This is not going to sit right up next to the center. This is out here. And you're going to have front panels here that we're going to work on after that. So you're not trying to cover like this part is going to attach to this at the side seam. Okay. So if you're placing this here, it's not going to come all the way to the center, and you don't want it to. So you want it to come about maybe halfway. So if your side seam is here, that's where this front panel is attaching, and it's only going to come maybe halfway across your chest. And then you're going to have a front panel here and here that attaches to that side panel. So I hope that makes sense. And remember the stretch. So when you wear this, if it's across here, you've got a little bit of stretch here, but if you want it to be oversized, you can make it a little bit wider if you want to. I'm really interested to see how this fits, honestly. Okay, let's see. And yes, just kind of mid-boob. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for joining in, whether it was live or if you're watching the replay. I really appreciate it, and I'm super excited to be making this with you guys. So I'm just glad that y'all wanted to join in. We'll definitely have to do, when this is over, we'll have to figure out like a more summery crochet along that we can do together. Oh, and that's funny. Winter says your comment was held for review. Yeah. Yeah, and thank you guys. I have fun hanging out with y'all every week. Like I said, I will be live on Friday if you want to join in on the Instagram. But if not, I will see y'all next Tuesday, and we will, by then I will have finished the second front panel. That's your homework, is getting your front, the 2 front panels, back panels already done, 2 front panels. We're going to sew them all together next week. So you will actually have something you can try on. So that'll be super helpful to see where you're at. Especially Lexi, if you're concerned, that's when you can really see how it's fitting. And if you have to make any changes, you can, add or take away. That's the good thing. If it's a width issue, you can easily frog 1 row back. If it's too big, you can add a couple of rows if it's too small to both the front and back panels. So it's a little bit easier than if you were working it this way, where you'd have to frog the whole thing back if you wanted to add extra rows for width. So this makes it a little bit easier. All right, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you guys soon. Happy hooking!